Rocking and rolling.
Okay, here we go. How's everyone doing out there?
Hello, everybody.
My name is John Gardner. This is my wife and law partner, Radlin Mendoza, and we are the immigration law firm Gardner and Mendoza. We come to you every Wednesday from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock from our location here in Virginia Beach, Virginia. That's where our office is located. And we come here to give you immigration updates. We find that it's useful for the community to get updates on what's going on if there's, breaking information that we think folks need to know about. And also, we like to answer your questions. And that's mostly what we do because we get a lot of questions on Facebook as well as on TikTok. In fact, we get most of our questions through TikTok. So hello to everybody who is joining us on TikTok as well. We're doing both at the same time. If you're on TikTok, go ahead and get your questions loaded up, and we are going to get to as many as we can. We got 1 hour. I do want to warn you, what we do here is for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes only. It is not legal advice. That's the warning that I have to give you. The Virginia State Bar requires that we do that, and I would do it anyway because we're dealing with little snippets here of questions, and it's really hard for us to, give you a complete answer based on a small, short question. So if you want to get real legal advice, become a client of ours, and we'll give you lots of it.
Absolutely. And as John mentioned, we're going to be here for an hour from 8 to 9. You will be watching the sun set behind us. And right. It's all nice and bright here, but it'll go dim. But load your questions up now. While that's happening, we're gonna give a couple of immigration updates. I wanted to talk a little bit about visa revocation. We have been getting calls to our office, and recently I was interviewed by local news here, and it was about Filipinos who were in the United States on a C-1D crewman's visa, and there was alleged child pornography on their devices. And so CBP, Customs and Border Protection, they're allowed to board vessels. They were on a Carnival cruise ship. They boarded the vessel and removed, I believe, 18 Filipinos, put them in shackles, arrested them, and revoked their visas because of these allegations, and then deported them back to the Philippines and gave them a 10-year bar. So it was quite a traumatizing event for these crew members and also for the Filipino community here where we are in Hampton Roads. And I was interviewed, and the question was, can they just revoke a visa like that? And the answer is yes, your visa can be revoked. There's very broad powers for the Secretary of State to revoke a visa. It was happening a lot with some student visas earlier in the year. We saw that happening because of alleged activities, anti-Semitic activities. And again, as I mentioned, we are getting calls where, one call was someone was arrested for a DUI, driving under the influence, and without a conviction, just a charge, and they got their visa revoked. So this is, you can see this starting to happen, and it will probably catch you blindsided, right? Like you're here in the United States. For these crew members, Norfolk, Virginia is just one stop of many, and they're not ever going to be able to cruise, certainly not to the United States, because they have a 10-year bar. So not only is it impacting just the day that it happened, the day they got put in jail, the day they got shackled, and the day they got deported back to their country, it's going to impact them financially as well. And they are husbands and fathers, and they support their children. And just to make it clear, their side of the story is we didn't have anything on our phones, and no one even looked at our phones on that day. So there was a protest outside of Carnival Cruise Lines. And so that's happening. So just make sure that you're aware that if you're even just charged with something, whether it's something like reckless driving, which is a class 1 misdemeanor here in Virginia, and it may be in other jurisdictions as well. And reckless driving is not here just it is going crazy on the road, right? Going crazy on the road, driving erratically. It's also speeding, right? So reckless driving here in Virginia can be speeding, and it's over, is it over 80 miles
20.
per hour?
20 over the speed limit or anything over 80.
Right.
Well, that's what it was.
So who knows what's going to happen with that, right? A reckless driving, because it is a class 1 misdemeanor, and maybe you'll see some of those things with other petty offenses. But guys, if you're here on a visa, you need to, again, try not to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. Don't be drinking and driving. Even if if you're charged with it and then ultimately found not guilty and your visa is revoked, there's very little that you can do. So just be careful. We just want to let you guys know that is something that's happening, and you need to be vigilant in keeping everything on the up and up. And again, there could also be false allegations, just so something to think about, and yet, right, another thing to worry about.
Well, there's broad discretion there for sure. What's curious to me about this case is that, having done criminal defense for many years, is that, usually when you are accused of committing a crime, prosecutors and police want to prosecute, because in fact a crime has occurred. So, I guess this begs the question, if I murdered somebody on that ship, would I just get the option of heading back to the Philippines rather than having to face a murder charge? I mean, if somebody committed a crime, then the crime should be charged.
Yes,
that's not,
right.
If in fact there was child pornography, that's something that really needs to be prosecuted. And it's interesting that it wasn't. It's kind of, as my kids would say, that's sus.
That's sus. Right. Yeah. I mean, we've seen this happen in cases in Florida where child pornography is found on a device of a crew member, and they have prosecuted them. They have found them guilty. They have sentenced them. These people are spending time in jail for possessing child pornography, which, as John said, is a crime in the United States. So it is suspicious that these guys were not charged, but they were just immediately sent home. And one person who was interviewed just said, they tried to make me say these things. And I said, no, I'm not saying that I had child pornography, because I absolutely did not. And so it's just, it's very interesting. We will see what the trend is. And, we have a lot of Filipino followers, not just Filipinos, but there are all kinds of people from all over the world who work on cruise ships and cruise lines. And so just be careful and know that you should not have that type of information on your phone, or downloading it or looking at it for obvious reasons, for breaking the law. It also, for me, is just immoral, right? For you to be watching child pornography. Maybe it's legal in your country, acceptable in your country, but it's absolutely not. But again, these were allegations, no charges. And I want to keep reiterating that, because when somebody makes an allegation that you have child pornography and you then get deported and you get your visa revoked, you're basically blackballed, right? I mean, you're never going to work in the industry again. And we'll see. I mean, as I was getting ready for this, I was thinking in my head, I was like, you know what? I ought to talk to John, and maybe we should sue on behalf of some of these people. It's just arbitrary and capricious, and get some sort of a judgment. But anyway, I digress. What questions do we have?
Well, the whole thing is just odd. I don't want to, again, we have questions. We don't want to stay on this all night, but it is odd, because it's a long principle of the law that, when there is a state criminal charge or a federal criminal charge, that the criminal charge has to be completed before the immigration shoe drops. I mean, I represented people for years that were not citizens, and a lot of them would have loved to have been able to just skip the trial and head home. That would have been great. But that's not how it works. The way it works is that you have to stand trial for a crime, an alleged crime. And if you're convicted, you have to serve the punishment for that crime.
I got it.
And then only after you have served your sentence are you then removed from the country? So that's my final word on that.
Right.
We had a couple questions come in quickly. Premzi wanted to know where we're located. Our office is located in Virginia Beach, Virginia, which is on the East Coast of the United States. However, we do have clients all over the country. We have clients all over the world. Immigration law is federal law. It's not state law. So we are not confined to the borders of our state, the Commonwealth of Virginia. We can practice immigration law anywhere in the United States, and we do.
Yep, absolutely. Great question. And yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. And I want to clarify something. Traveling Man here said it was a waste of money to talk to us. You don't talk to them. They outsource to other people. I don't typically respond to comments like that on TikTok, but I want to address this one head on because it's just false. If you contact our office, you absolutely will be able to schedule a consultation with one of our attorneys. And if you hire us to represent you, your case will absolutely be handled by one of the attorneys in our office. So I don't know, Traveling Man. I think
maybe you called somebody else.
You might be confusing us with a different law firm. You might want to double check the number you called. Okay. We have questions already.
Okay.
And I saw Liz is saying
yes,
hello.
Liz,
Hi, Liz,
our old friend, and actually former legal assistant from 25 years ago. Hi, Liz. How are you?
Looks like she was at Disney. Is that Disney?
Yeah. Probably. That's where they live in that jurisdiction. So anyhow, hello to Liz and all of your kids and husband and family. In regards to you guys, we miss you guys. But her question is, if someone is a citizen, recently passed the exam, and they travel, can they be stopped and questioned when coming back into the United States? Can they deny entry? So this is a really great question. We get a lot of traveling questions. And yes, if you have passed the exam and you have not sworn in to become a U.S. citizen, number one, you are not yet a U.S. citizen. We have clients sometimes who they pass the exam, and I always joke, I was like, okay, when they leave their interview, they pass the exam, they leave their interview. I say, now go home and stay in your room and don't come out until your swearing in ceremony. And so you gotta be in a bubble, right? So if you go and you leave and you're just so excited after you pass your exam and you get a speeding ticket, right? It's something that you're going to have to report back. And at your swearing in, it's like, hey, I got a speeding ticket. If it's a reckless driving ticket, you're going to have to get your oath swearing continued to another date. They may or may not continue it. So, it's very important to know that when you leave your testing for naturalization, you are not yet a U.S. citizen until you go back and you swear in and you take that oath of allegiance to the United States. So to your question, Elizabeth,
she added some clarification, but go ahead and continue because this is helpful for people who have not sworn in yet.
Okay.
So
go
ahead and finish.
You as a permanent resident, you can be questioned as a U.S. citizen. You can be questioned when you're coming back into the United States. CBP has pretty broad. They have pretty broad rights to question you, because the point is like, hey, you're coming back into the United States. If you're a U.S. citizen, if you're a permanent resident, if you're a visitor, we are trying to protect the homeland, right? We want to make sure that you're not bringing in anything in here, including you, U.S. citizen, that you're not bringing any fruits, meats, or anything that's the foreign beetle that's going to infect all of our trees, and or the oyster that you're going to throw into the bay, and it's going to anything. It doesn't have to be anything that's like drugs necessarily, but it can be things that are bad for the country, bad for agriculture. So they can question you. And as far as denying entry, no, a CBP cannot deny entry to a U.S. citizen. Okay, so you have to be let in because you are a United States citizen. Even if you are a naturalized U.S. citizen, that is still the case. As far as visitors, that protection goes down for sure. Depending on the purpose of your trip and what they're looking at, what they're finding out. If you guys are on social media, if you're here, you're probably on social media, then you have seen visitors come into the United States, and some of them are getting arrested and some of them being held, and for whatever reason, and then sent back to their country. But yes, you can be stopped and questioned, and you can even, as a visitor, be returned back to your country. As a lawful permanent resident, yes, they can question you for sure, and they can also detain you. But as far as they do have to allow you to come in, they may not allow you in as a permanent resident. They parole you in. You're not a permanent resident. They may send you to additional inspection, and at that additional inspection, they can say, "Well, we're going to put you in removal proceedings because we think we can take away your permanent resident card." But only an immigration judge can take away lawful permanent residency. And so if you are a permanent resident and they're questioning you, maybe you're one of those parents. There we go.
Okay, we're back.
That was really weird. Okay, so Elizabeth, sorry about that. Hopefully you got the gist of that question.
I think she did. She said thank you. So
Okay. Look, it's our old friend, Miss Evelina. It's been a while. Hopefully you guys are doing great. Next, Miss Evelina is asking about the next Free Citizenship Day, and that will be coming up in September. We will get you a a date that's coming up pretty soon. So thank you for asking about that. And she also says that she can attest that she is an American citizen because of these two wonderful lawyers. So we did not outsource Miss Evelina's case. We do not outsource cases. So yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and a couple here on TikTok. Eshwa 200. I'm sorry, if you could repost your question. We might need a little more information. I'm not sure what the question is. And Wobble wants to know what state we're in. You may have heard earlier, we are in Virginia, which is on the East Coast of the United States, but we have clients all over the country, all over the world. So wherever you are, we can absolutely talk to you and reach you and hopefully help you.
Yeah, absolutely. Jesus has a really great question. And it's covering, so I'm going to just put it down here. Jesus says, hi, I have a question. I have my resident card. So he's a permanent resident for 10 years, a 10-year resident card, but I have a criminal record. And the next year I can apply for my citizenship. Can you guys help me with that? Yes, absolutely. We can help you with that. That's what we do. And it doesn't matter whether you're here in Virginia or in any other state, we can help you with that anywhere. And question is, and I can go out of the country. Last year, he went out of the country for vacation. He came back. He had no issues. Jesus, that was last year. This is a new year. This is a new administration. And really, it depends on what your criminal record is. Some of these permanent residents who are getting arrested and detained upon re-entry into the United States, when I find out why, what their criminal conviction was, they should have never been traveling in the first place, because their conviction, even though, again, not necessarily always a crime of the century, right? Their conviction is what makes them inadmissible to the United States, and then potentially a mandatory detention. And we know we've had a case like this, and it hurts, right? And it when somebody comes to you and says, hey, my son is in jail because they arrested him, and it's because of X conviction. And in our case, it was a possession of marijuana conviction. And so that's, again, not the crime of the century. It's probably a conviction that many people in the United States have. And it started out as a more serious charge, and it got dropped down to possession of marijuana, simple possession. And you have to prove that it was less than 30 grams of marijuana before entering the United States. So that's why John and I here every week talking about, look, possession of marijuana convictions, marijuana use. It's absolutely not if you're a permanent resident of the United States. It's so, is trendy the word? I mean, it's decriminalized, right? It's decriminalized. So many people feel like, I can just smoke marijuana, no big deal. Maybe I'll get a marijuana ticket if I'm doing it out in public, and you're not supposed to do that. But it is a big deal if you're a lawful permanent resident. So Jesus, we would definitely need to know, what is your criminal record? And it sounds like it was a long time ago, and we would work with that information. So
yeah, that's a lot has changed in 6 months. And so just because you have done something in the past and not had an issue with it, I would not assume that it will all be fine. With a criminal record of any kind, you really need to consult with a professional before you make that decision about whether you're going to travel or not. It's a concept that a lot of people, it's a fine distinction, but as Radlin said, there are some criminal conduct, some criminal convictions that don't make you removable, deportable from the United States, but they do make you inadmissible. So as long as you're here, you can't get kicked out because of the conviction. But if you leave, you can be denied entry back in because of that same conviction. So traveling is a risky business for some, not for all.
Not for most.
Not for most. It's not a big deal. But if you are not a U.S. citizen and you have a criminal record, I would definitely invest some time and money into talking to a professional. If it's not us, then somebody else that you're comfortable with.
Should be us, though.
Yeah, of course. But before you make that decision, whether or not to travel, even if you've done it before, even if you're like, oh yeah, but I've had this conviction for 10 years and I've traveled all the time, never had a problem. This is a different day.
And it's really about enforcement of the existing laws, right? Enforcement of, yes, if you have a crime of moral turpitude and you're coming back into the United States, if you have an embezzlement conviction from 15, 20 years ago, you're still inadmissible as a lawful permanent resident. And so they are enforcing those laws that are on the books. And rightly or wrongly, it is exactly what's happening right now. So you have to be prepared. And, we have about 30 minutes. So if you guys think this information is going to be helpful, please share it on Facebook. And so we can get other people to answer their questions, because I don't want to see another headline, another viral social media post about a lawful permanent resident who is a permanent resident for 35 years. And she had this conviction from, 25 years ago, and she served her time and she paid her price, and all of these things are true, but she left the United States and came back in, and now she's detained because it's mandatory detention. I don't want to see another one of those stories, because they are heartbreaking. And they're heartbreaking for the person who's sitting in jail, who's a productive member of society, who's a hospital worker, a healthcare worker, in this particular case, family members who are, I'm sure, just sick that their auntie, their mom, their 65-year-old, beloved person is sitting in jail because of this information that they did not know. And on top of that, they didn't apply for U.S. citizenship, right? Because they probably thought they couldn't apply for U.S. citizenship because of the embezzlement conviction. But the interesting thing is because it's outside of that 5-year good moral character, she could have most likely applied for U.S. citizenship, which would have cured the problem. So many people are out there scared. And again, I know I have a big Filipino community here on TikTok. Really appreciate that. I'm Filipino, but I've seen my Filipino clients who are just scared, and they come to me after so many years of hiding this little thing that's holding them back in life, and it's just not even anything. It's something that we can apply for citizenship and then fix it. I've had people scared to do something for 20, 25 years because they never went out and spoke to a professional. So sorry if I seem a little bit frustrated, but when you've seen it and you've seen it on the news, and we've seen a lot of it on the news, because we're getting a lot more exposure, right? Like anything that's happening, we're going to see it. Like we are going to see it because we are on social media. And I've seen these. People don't understand. I have permanent residents who are so scared about traveling. Like, what about this person? That person had a controlled substance conviction from 20 years ago. You don't have that. And they traveled because they were been traveling all this time. So the takeaway here, guys, is number one, don't we're not going to naturalize. We're not going to do naturalization because that's going to be a problem for you. We've had to do that with people. Like sometimes naturalizing is not the way to go. Status quo is the way to go.
Yep.
So the takeaway is just to get the information that you need and try not to be fearful. Just get the information and the education that you need about your particular status. It's so important, guys. It's so important. Remember, you guys out there as permanent residents, you have your spouses and your kids and your grandkids, and you probably take that for granted every single day, but don't take it for granted. If you've ever thought about applying for U.S. citizenship, now is the time. It's going really fast. And, even if you have something in your past that you're afraid to reveal, you still may be able to apply for U.S. citizenship. And for some of you guys out there who are watching, who may not know permanent residents, may not know immigrants, you're here, so you probably do. But there's just a reluctance to get the information because they believe that they're just afraid of the information, right? Kind of like how you don't want to go to the doctor because, well, I mean, gosh, what if my blood pressure is high and then I have to do something? So it's a little bit like that. Don't be like that. Just protect yourself.
Yeah, and it's not all scary. Rosalie just posted here on Facebook a comment that her husband always gets put in the secondary inspection, and it normally takes a long time. And they just went through it recently, and at 3 to 5 minutes, it was the fastest they ever got out of it.
Yeah.
So you know what? It's it's not all doom and gloom. We just want you to be proactive so that you can be prepared.
Absolutely. And we have clients and we have friends who go through secondary inspection every single time, and for a variety of reasons. One of them is a U.S. citizen, one of them is a lawful permanent resident with a dismissed criminal conviction, and that our advice to them is, look, to him is, you carry that certified disposition with you every single time, and that's not something he used to do. Now he has in his back pocket. He's never had to take it out, thankfully. As your husband did, he flew through secondary inspection. Those who have 2-year green cards and you filed the I-751, and a lot of you out there have, you are going to probably go to secondary inspection to, for that officer to take a look at your receipt notice, right, for the validity of the receipt notice. So that we have been seeing and hearing, where the person at the window is just sending you to secondary to make sure that receipt notice is all good. It's a piece of paper. So, all right.
Let's shift gears a little bit. We have a good question over here on TikTok. Hi, I got married yesterday. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I don't have enough evidence to file. How long should I wait before I file?
Don't have evidence of the bona fide marriage. What you should do is you should go and speak with an immigration attorney. Somebody asked what our consultation fee is. We charge Mr. Flenny Gallup. I don't know if it's Mr. or Mrs., but Flenny Gallup. You want to X that? My dad's calling from the Philippines, so I'm gonna take that call later, Dad. I'll call you back.
So now we know he's not watching Facebook.
He's not watching Facebook Live. He's trying to call. Maybe it's something that I said. I doubt it. So we charge $295 for a consultation, and we evaluate your case. And if we can help you, then we will credit that consultation back to any legal fees that we charge. And as John mentioned before, we meet with all of our initial clients. We meet with you virtually, and even if you're in Virginia Beach, we meet with everyone virtually. It saves a lot of time, and we're actually able to share documents and information easier, interestingly enough. So
it's a more efficient process for everyone.
So I would make an appointment with us, and we can evaluate what you have as your bona fide marriage documentation. So we try to file everything right now with all the bona fide documentation that our couples have, including, statements, affidavits from family and friends who know about the marriage. And we do that now because during the Biden administration, immigration interviews were waived. And so we wanted to file everything at the beginning of the case, so we wouldn't have to get called in for an interview or answer a request for evidence. Now interviews are back on. And so I still recommend filing with some bona fide marriage documentation. But if you have, a copy of your engagement ring, the receipt of the engagement ring, your marriage photos, of course, you're going to have to submit your marriage certificate, a couple of affidavits from friends and neighbors. Maybe you have a lease together, photos from even when you started dating, social media posts. We're going to file the case, even if you don't have 1,000 pieces of paper, right? Maybe you don't have a joint bank account yet because you don't have your social security number. Maybe you haven't combined your insurances yet, or whatever it is that you don't have yet because you are newlyweds. That's not exactly the first thing that newlyweds jump to, just combining all these things. I mean, if you're in the military, yeah, military people do that just immediately, right? Because there are benefits to being married, and getting all that information. But that's something that it's okay that you don't have tons of bona fide marriage documentation. And I would not wait to file. If you're eligible to file for adjustment of status, it's not, and maybe you are out of status or coming close to being out of status, I just wouldn't wait to file. So that's my my answer on that. And again, as John mentioned, this is not legal advice. This is legal information. And I don't want anyone to take what we're saying and just say, oh, well, Radlin and John said that, let me go do X, right? This is a starting point for you all. This informational session should be, I probably should talk to an immigration lawyer, just like they advised me to about my immigration situation. So this is a starting point, and for you to just have some information that will make you think, I should speak with an immigration lawyer, no matter what it is. Absolutely. With regard to immigration. Okay. Yeah, Rosalie, thank you so much for sharing that information about your husband going through secondary inspection. Guys, the vast majority of people are coming through inspections. The cases that you see are, for the vast majority of you, you're not going to have that issue. Okay.
Okay, Frank here had a question. What's the best way to go for a green card holder with a 273 misdemeanor charge from 23 years ago?
So Frank, I'm not sure where you are. I'm not sure what a 273 misdemeanor charge is.
That's what I'm wondering too. What is a 273 misdemeanor charge?
So number one, it's an old charge, right? It's an old conviction.
Whatever it is, it's 23 years ago.
Yeah. You should try, it's old. You may not be able to get it, but you should try and get a certified disposition of the misdemeanor charge, number one, if it's not too late. If you don't, if you can't get a certified disposition because it's too old, then get a letter from the clerk's office saying that we no longer have this, it's destroyed. I don't know what a 273 misdemeanor charge is. And we may say, hey, you should perhaps go and apply for U.S. citizenship now, even though you have this misdemeanor charge from 23 years ago. Again, it falls outside of the 5-year good moral character period. You have to be a person of good moral character, no criminal charges or convictions for that 5-year period, unless it falls under the petty offense exception. And so come give us a call and let us take a look at that.
Yeah, I think he doesn't even have a green card yet. Is that what I'm...
No, he says, what's the best
a green
way
card
to go
holder.
For
green card holder, you're right.
Okay.
Okay.
That answers your question.
Absolutely. I think that's, yeah. And maybe you can tell us, pop back on and let us know what the 273 misdemeanor is. That might be something in the state that you're in. Maybe everybody in California or something knows what that is. Yep. Okay. So we have a question over here on TikTok.
It's a funny question.
Well, it's just, is consular processing even worth it anymore?
Yeah, I mean, you got to go through consular processing if you want to get here, right? I mean, it's absolutely worth it. So I don't know what context you're talking about. I'm going to assume family-based immigration. If your foreign national family member is outside of the United States, then they probably need to go through consular processing. There are certain scenarios where if a person is in the United States on a B1, B2 visa, they may be a tourist visa, or and they had to go through consular processing to get the tourist visa, right? You have to go for an interview at the embassy abroad. So it's a pretty broad remark, and you got to go through consular processing to get certain benefits. So absolutely, consular processing is still worth it if you want your family member to be in the United States. If you want to get the tourist visa, if you want to get the F1 visa, any type of visa type, you're going to have to go through consular processing. And sometimes the time frames are very long, right? It's like, oh, it's a year to get a tourist visa, but get in the line, right? Get in the line if you want that visa. If your family member has been waiting for all this time to immigrate to the United States, but you haven't filed the petition yet, then they're going to wait forever, right? You got to file the petition and they have to go through consular processing. It is a long wait. For a U.S. citizen to bring their spouse or their unmarried son or daughter under the age of 21 to the United States, it's over 2 years right now. You file an I-130 petition, it's 17 months. That's the long time. But there is no other choice, right? If you want that person to immigrate to the United States. So absolutely, it's still worth it. Filing the I-130 petition, as John and I like to say, USCIS is still open for business. So again, we have all this bad news about immigration. We see people getting arrested, and we see conditions of some of these detention centers, and we see visas being revoked and allegations not proved. Yes, all of that is happening, but USCIS is still giving out benefits, right? They're still adjusting status. People are still doing the H-1B, right? We're still doing the I-140 petitions, for employment. They're still naturalizing people. So it's not like the machine stopped. It's still happening.
Ceremonies are still going on, and
the
green cards are still being issued, and yes, so on and so forth.
So don't let that distract. I mean, we have interviews this week. We have 3 of them tomorrow at our Norfolk immigration office. So absolutely, everything is still going on that end. And right now things are going fast. So it's time to file, right? File, except for the I-130 petition standalone, right? That's taken a long time, but that was a little bit of a long answer to my question. But the point here is that you need to file and get in line in order to get the benefit. And yes, consular processing for some cases are taking even more than 2 years. It depends on where you are in the visa bulletin, if you're not an immediate relative, but even family members of U.S. citizens like parents and spouses and children, unmarried children under the age of 21, those cases are taking 2 years at least, because the I-130 petition takes 17 months.
Right. And Premsy weighed in on TikTok as well to let us know that they recently came in, green card holder, no criminal record, and had 0 issues, just sailed right through, no problem. So just a reminder that, we're talking about, just again, being prepared, being proactive. If you have something a little strange in your background, it's worth talking to someone about it. And Frank said, thanks a lot for the information. You're welcome, Frank.
Very welcome.
All right. Do we have any more questions over there?
No questions over here, but I want to point out that, Rosalie says that they were very scared, right? So Rosalie, husband, came back from the Philippines. There no criminal issues, but still really scared. I mean, and it is coming through inspection. It's a little bit, it can be sometimes an uncomfortable thing, even if you are a U.S. citizen. Like we go through inspections. We're U.S. citizens. We have our family with us. We don't want any problems or any issues. And but every time we go through inspection, it's a little nerve wracking. And so we totally understand. And when you're approaching the officer there and you're going through the line, you got to be mentally ready. I'm sure, especially permanent residents and especially people who are trying to come in on their visa.
Right.
I'm sure they're sweating bullets because you don't know, and especially with all the media coverage of bad immigration stuff happening. So I'm glad you guys are here to get the information, and thank you, Rosalie, for coming on just to mention that helps everybody who's listening.
Yeah, and Robin over here on TikTok says, I just became a U.S. citizen.
Yay, congratulations.
And she says, thank you so much for everything you do and your guidance. Love you guys.
Aw, love you too.
Right.
Love you too.
Thanks, Robin. We really appreciate that. That makes us feel good. And congratulations on your citizenship. That's awesome.
Ask who can you petition? Who can you petition now that you are a U.S. citizen? Maybe a sibling. Sibling cases take a really long time, but if if your sibling has no other way to immigrate to the United States, filing the petition is not a bad idea. So Rosalie says she brought the paper from the district attorney's office, just like we mentioned.
Yeah.
Yay. We love being helpful on the platform. We really do. Because there's just a lot going on. And sometimes as attorneys who were very involved in our community, we want to help. We want to share this information. So you're not the one that's featured on social media as the one that couldn't come in because you watch the Gardner and Mendoza rather than John Facebook Live and on TikTok, and you got additional information and you prepared yourself and you maybe even spoke to your old immigration attorney, or maybe you called us or another immigration lawyer to help you.
Yeah, this is a side note. We've been talking about coming, traveling and coming into the U.S. and having a certified disposition with you. I think it's a good idea as well. And I know that Radlin agrees to, if you're in some sort of an immigration process, I would carry those copies of those documents as well in your car with you, so that in the event that you get pulled over and something happens and immigration comes up, even if it shouldn't, that you can show, local law enforcement tends to not know a ton about immigration. And so when they see something that looks weird, they kind of get freaky. And if you can just say, oh, no, here, I'm in the middle of an immigration case right now. Here's this, something from USCIS. And I'm not trying to demean police officers. They do a really hard job. But when they see something that looks official and, it's got the U.S. seal on it and all the fancy calligraphy and everything, they're going to tend to think, oh, okay, that looks official. You're fine. I'm going to just, here's your ticket, go about your business.
Yeah, right. If you are questioned by one of the deputized police officers out there, and
they just don't know a ton about it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And while you're pulling up that next question, again, the social media, the videos, the people getting arrested, U.S. citizens getting caught in the dragnet, getting arrested as well, and not even given a chance to show their identification. Be calm, right? When you're dealing with ICE agents, especially if this is something that happens to you. I was really sad. We had a graduation party for our daughters, and our DJ. And it wasn't a big party, but I love to have a house DJ because it just makes it more fun. Anyway, we've been using our DJ for, let's see, 9 years now, just for events and parties. And he says he was going to San Diego to a Comic-Con conference, Comic-Con, and he was afraid because of the things that are happening in California. And his friends are like, hey, you need to bring your passport, right? Just bring your passport just in case. And our DJ is Filipino, but he says he gets mistaken for Latino a lot. And it just made me sad that he's taking precautions as a U.S. citizen in the event that he is getting stopped by ICE. And he doesn't, he wants to make sure that, hey, I'm a U.S. citizen and here's my passport. I mean, for U.S. citizens to have to feel that way when they're traveling to a state where there's just a hotbed of immigration enforcement and the media, it just makes me sad that's where we are right now. But to his point, you don't want to be a hero, right? Sometimes I imagine if I'm going to get questioned by an immigration customs enforcement officer, I'm going to be a hero, right? I'm not answering your questions. I don't have to answer your questions, but I'm not going to be a hero, guys. I'm going to answer the questions. And we have friends who have asked us, okay, what if Anthony gets picked up? What if ICE comes? Just don't be a hero. Just try to be as calm as possible. Now, you watch these videos, everything is crazy. It's hectic. And if you're a U.S. citizen, you need to show proof that you are a U.S. citizen. It's not a bad idea to carry that around. Again, U.S. citizens carrying out identification, like passport cards. It's not cool, in my opinion, but don't be a hero. Carry the documentation.
Yeah, just a reminder, if you're entering on a visa and you refuse to answer the questions, they can just turn you around and send you back.
Yeah.
That they don't have to. Unlike U.S. citizens and green card holders, visa holders are just visiting, and they can just, if you don't comply with their questions, they can just tell you that you can't come in and send you back.
Yeah, and guys, I'm not saying that the people who are getting arrested are trying to be heroes, right? It's chaotic scene, but I'm saying you don't try to be a hero.
Yeah.
And if you want to try to get out of there as soon as possible, answer the questions.
All right, answer the questions. Here's a question from TikTok. Can you do adjustment of status if you're married to a lawful permanent resident, entered the U.S. with a visitor visa? So it looks like we have somebody here on a visitor visa, has married a lawful permanent resident, and wants to know if they can do adjustment of status.
So this person married the permanent resident when they came into the United States?
Came on a visitor visa,
Yeah.
but then married a green card holder, and now wants to know if they can do adjustment of status.
Most likely not. Most likely you cannot, because visas are not available right now for the spouses of permanent residents. They were current for the longest time there. And if you were came in on a tourist visa and you married a lawful permanent resident, then we would be able to file adjustment of status. But because of the visa bulletin retrogression and that category, which are the spouses of lawful permanent residents, like talking and trying to pull this up, I can do it. I just look at me. I can do it.
There it is. There it is.
So it's not too far off. Like it's the cutoff date is April of 2025 for dates for filing. So April, May, June, July. I mean, look, give me a call, right? Give me a call. It's a 3-month waiting period once you file your I-130 petition for it to be current as of August 2025 visa bulletin. And you can use the dates for filing. There's a lot going on with the visa bulletin, guys. I don't want to get into it, but it's just a lot of explanation. But it is a possibility. There just is some questions that we would need to ask. So give us a call, 757-464-9224, guys. We are located in Virginia Beach, Virginia. We help people from all around the world and in the United States of America. And all of our initial consultations are done virtually. So even if you're wherever you are, we can meet with you. I meet with people virtually every day. Even if they're right in the backyard here, that's just the way we do our initial consultation. So give us a call and we'll see if we can help you out with that.
And that number again is 757-464-9224, or you can email us info@gmlaw.net.
Or you can send us a message through Messenger at Gardner Mendoza Law. Lots of information. Follow our socials. Come to our Facebook page and at Gardner Mendoza Law, and you can send us a message through Messenger. We would love to talk to you about that.
All right. Oh, I lost the next question that I had up there, but I do remember it. I remember the question. The question was, 2-year green card has expired. Person is in the Philippines, and the question is, how am I going to get? How am I going to get back into the U.S. now?
Wait, so did you not file your I-751 petition?
My 2-year green card has expired. I'm here in the Philippines right now. How am I going to enter the U.S. again in the future?
In the future? You better come back soon. Wait, so I guess my initial question there would be, did you file the I-751 petition to remove the conditions on your lawful permanent residency? So a 2-year card expiring is not just like a 10-year card expiring, right? You have to go through an extra added step in order to get that 10-year card. And it's not renewing your card. It is removing those conditions on your permanent residency status. So if you're still married to your spouse, you can jointly file that I-751. But you're out of the country, so you should give me a call. 757-464-9224. As I mentioned earlier, we do charge $295 for a consultation, and we'll give you a comprehensive evaluation of your case and give you the next steps if we can help you, and what the fees are and the processing times and everything else. So give us a call. I don't like the fact that you have a 2-year card that it has expired, and it sounds like you have not filed your I-751 petition. And for those of you out there who have the 2-year card, don't file the I-90 to renew that card. That is the wrong form. It's all over the website that is the wrong form, yet people still do it, and then they become our clients. It's just easier to start with us so we can file your I-751 on time and don't have to give an excuse for why you filed it late. It's an important application. It's an important petition because it is the pathway to getting 10-year green card, removing those conditions, and applying for U.S. citizenship.
Okay. In Zenify Wellness, just sharing their experience, went to their adjustment of status interview. The military spouse is deployed. They did not do the interview.
Oh, no.
And they didn't waive the husband's presence, even though he's deployed and she had his orders from his command.
That is really great information to know. Would love to know what city you're in.
Just looking for some advice. Yeah, that's rough.
Yes. I'm sorry to hear that happened.
Yeah, that sucks.
That's not a legal term.
Sorry.
It's okay. We're here this is entertainment purposes.
That's right.
So, unfortunately, you have to most likely wait because that officer did not accept those documents. And it is, the officer's decision to whether they're going to waive your husband's presence or not. You might want to think about having your husband reach out to your congressperson and say, what the hey? Like, come on. I mean, I'm here, I'm deployed. I need my spouse to get her green card or their green card so they can live their lives and not have to worry about it. And I don't want to have to worry about my spouse when I'm on deployment. It's totally stressing me out. I'm going to mess these engines up if you don't, fix this. But reach out to your congressperson and
agreed.
You make some noise. This is totally unacceptable. Bring him back then. Military, bring him back. If he's on deployment and he's got this very important interview, have the military bring him back. They're not going to do that, obviously. You gotta call your congressperson and have 10 other people call your congressperson too about this situation. And you may get some relief, you may not, but at least you know that you tried to do something about it instead of waiting.
Yeah.
Because it is up to them. It is up to their discretion.
Okay, and Hirohito wanted to know, will I be successful with my naturalization if my arrest was 5 years ago? This goes back to the
outside of
the good moral.
Yeah, the good outside of the good moral character. Depends on the conviction too.
Yeah.
Usually, but you have to be careful too, because if it's a deportable offense, naturalization is a cure unless they want to put you in removal proceedings.
Yeah.
Which we have seen that not necessarily because of this administration, but we have seen that done where this happened with one of Jim Tom's cases where the cure is naturalization, but then they
I remember
did something terrible and put the client in removal proceedings instead.
Yeah.
So it depends. Not trying to scare you. Just get the information.
Tried to withdraw the. I remember. Hirohito. This is a classic example. I mean, this is textbook of you should contact us or some other reputable immigration attorney and discuss, what it is, what the conviction is all about, so you can have some good advice on whether or not you should move forward with that naturalization.
Yep, absolutely. Has he filed already, or have they filed?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know. It's not clear.
All right. I do think we have time for one more question. It is over. We are most likely going to be coming to you live on Monday of next week instead of Wednesday. Sorry to be bumping around a little bit, but we are going to a concert next Wednesday. You remember?
I do remember. That's right. Of course.
Sometimes
Pink martini.
Sometimes John is surprised at the social calendar, when it this time he wasn't. I didn't catch him as a surprise. I wasn't trying to catch you in a surprise. So John and I are married. For those of you who are just joining
Came in
us,
late.
who are popping in, and we started our law firm 25 years ago. We're celebrating our 25th law firm anniversary in October. That's the official month that we started our law firm, and we are very, very excited to be here and to be sharing this information with you. I know a lot of people are scared. People are worried about getting their green cards taken away. People are worried about getting their citizenship taken away. And we're here to hopefully answer your questions and provide a little bit of calm every week for you.
Yeah. So we have a lot more travel questions. They're all variations. If for those of you who are posting travel questions, I would encourage you to come back and rewatch this because we addressed a lot of these issues. We'll end the last question. This is tough. We got somebody who is married to a U.S. citizen, but the U.S. citizen spouse now is refusing to help with the adjustment of status. Question, can she do it on her own? Or does he have to be a participant, the U.S. citizen?
We would evaluate for VAWA and see if there's anything there where there's any type of physical abuse or extreme cruelty. That is the only way that you can self-petition.
Yeah, I mean, what's up with that? That's
it does happen. It does happen. So we, VAWA cases, they kind of run the gamut of severity and documents to prove the VAWA. We have been successful with VAWA cases where there has been no physical abuse, or there may have been physical abuse, but no authorities were called. So there's no record of it that, police were called. But we've also had success with extreme mental cruelty as well. So one of the things is holding immigration over your head, right? We've seen this happen.
Yep.
Okay, no, you can't drive. No, you can't talk to your friends. You have to stay here. I will give you $10 to go buy the groceries for the week. These are things that actually happen. And so, and I'm not saying that's happening in your case, but we would need to
exploring for
yes,
sure.
we would need to evaluate that to see if that would be a way to self-petition. And then we'd also do evaluation of any family members that you might have or any other opportunities. So.
Okay.
Right.
Well,
Awesome.
Good luck. Give us a call. And if you don't, I hope it changes. Hope the circumstances change. All right.
Yep. And so, guys, again, we are here every Wednesday night, not next Wednesday because we're going to be at a concert, and so we will be here either Monday or Tuesday. So we'll see you soon. Bring your questions, share this with your friends. Please like and follow. We really appreciate your support and all of your great questions.
Absolutely.
And just also people just giving us the information that helps the community. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for sharing your
All right,
experiences.
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up.
Bye, guys.
We'll see you soon. Okay.